first episode of Between Sessions.
Two brown chicks.
Changing
the face of therapy from both sides of the couch.
Right. And that just means we want more brown people in therapy and more brown people therapists to serve those people. So that's what we're doing. This is an extension of Melanin and Mental Health.
Absolutely.
And if you have been following us for a while, you already know what Melanin and Mental Health is. You already have heard of it, but we're going to do a little bit of a background of who we are and what Melanin and Mental Health is. So, who are you?
So I'm Eliza Boquin. I'm a marriage and family therapist. I specialize in sexuality. I'm in private practice. This is where we practice. So my practice is the Relationship and Sexual Wellness Center. And so I'm this half of Melanin and Mental Health.
All right, I'm Eboni Harris. I am a relationship therapist, licensed professional counselor, marriage and family therapist. I'm also a podcaster, which is why I was like, we have to do a podcast on Melanin and Mental Health. My podcast is Room for Relations, where we discuss everything from the first date to the last orgasm. It's a sex and relationship podcast. So that's who I am, and we have partnered up and created Melanin and Mental Health. This started November.
January was when we started social media.
Right, we met in November of last year, 2015. 16. This is 2018.
We're in 2018.
It's just the third day. I'm confused. Don't worry about it. So how did we meet? But how did Melanin and Mental Health come from our meeting?
Well, because we sat down. Remember? They don't remember. So we went to lunch, and I started following this awesome chick on social media. She was using social media in a way that I was not using, and so I was like, I gotta have lunch with her. And we sat down, started talking, and we just, we really wanted to know where all the other Black and brown therapists were in town.
Right. And so it kind of came into a conversation like, well, who do you know and who do I know? And maybe we need to start meeting up so we can know who we can refer to, because a lot of times we get clients that call us because they see our pictures.
That's right.
But then maybe we don't serve whatever they need. Maybe we don't, see their clientele, take insurance or those type of things. So we need to know who we can refer to. So that led to us, after a couple of failed attempts, to finally say, okay, let's do a meetup. By that time, Eliza had already started Melanin and Mental Health to just put out information. She just wanted to put out some cool information about mental health, about minority communities.
And mental health awareness.
Right. And so from there, we had our first meetup, and lots of people came.
We were
some of y'all are here.
Surprised, for all our day ones.
Yes. People that were at the first meeting that have come every single time. We appreciate you.
Yes.
And from that, it has grown into what you see now.
And it's going to keep
growing.
And
it's going to keep growing.
2018 is the year of the dope therapist.
Right, which is why
all
you
of you. Yes, and the therapy is dope, and everybody that supports this movement.
Yeah. So right now, what we have is monthly events.
That's right.
In Houston, and moving to Dallas this month.
Yes,
so if you're in Dallas, we'll be there on the 26th. Not exactly sure where yet, but we're going to be there.
Yes.
So make sure you put on a calendar. Go check out. I think there's an Eventbrite floating around somewhere.
Yeah.
So we're moving to a new city, and we're going to try to keep adding cities.
If you have some recommendations for minority-owned businesses in Dallas, we'd love to support the minority-owned businesses. If you have, some cool locations that you want to suggest up in Dallas, let us know.
Yeah, we do art galleries, we do bars, we do restaurants. Wherever, hotels, whoever wants our business, because we tend to bring a lot of people.
That's right.
To just come hang out and meet each other. And so we're going to start with Dallas this month, and we're going to start adding more and more cities. So if you want us to come to your city, send us an email, info@melaninandmentalhealth.com. I almost say Room for Relations.
It'll get to us.
Right. I have 2 podcasts now. Okay. So we have our monthly events. We also have our directory. Now, if you have not been to melaninandmentalhealth.com, go check it out. We have a growing directory. We have lots of people coming every day searching, looking for therapists. Right now, we have a very limited amount. So a lot of times they send us email, and we're looking for people to send to them. So go join the directory so you can get those clients.
All the member benefits. We're totally revamping that directory. I mean, this has grown so fast, and so we're revamping the website, revamping the directory. So now is the time to get all the perks of being a directory member.
Right. Get your first 3 months free. And then what else? We have our merch.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm always shimmying. I'm not going to.
Therapists need therapy too.
Yes.
And you're
Shiminated.
Melanated
both. Yes. So yeah, so we have merch. What else? I feel like we have so much going on.
We have a lot going on. Well, the events and the merchandise are online. If you have events, like mental health events that you want to promote and you want people in your area, because this is nationwide.
Right.
Hit us up. Let us know. We'll put it on the calendar so that people know when they're in your area what's going on there.
Right. So that is all about Melanin and Mental Health. Between sessions is going to be a podcast where we discuss just different topics related to mental health and minority communities. It'll be just us sometimes. A lot of times we'll probably have a guest on here. We already have
in February.
This might be the only one we do by ourselves. We'll have to see how that works out. But we have like guests through the next 2 months.
Yeah.
If you are a therapist,
directory members,
especially directory members, send us an email. Let us know if you want to be on it. We are giving priority to those on the directory, of course. And then we are
get on here. Tell us what you do for our communities and how you're making therapy dope. And you know, we want to spread the word about what you're doing as well.
Right. And this is just one of the many ways that we're trying to reduce the stigma by being the face and talking about this in a normal way. Yes. Like it doesn't have to be such clinical.
No.
I'm a professional.
We're clinical too.
I mean, we know, but it's a way that you can
stuff.
Converse about it that can be a little bit more approachable. And I feel like that's how we are in practice anyway. We're not necessarily the ones that are one-ups.
Right.
The therapists know what I mean by one-up.
We're very collaborative with our clients.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So that's what Between Sessions is going to be. So before we get into our topic, we do have a topic, but I wanted to give Eliza a chance to talk about the theme of Melanin and Mental Health this month being the new year.
Yeah, so the theme this year is new mindset, who this?
So new year, new mindset, who this? So a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about is just kind of trying to change the mindset surrounding mental health, trying to change the mindset surrounding therapy, and just in general bettering yourself. So that's why our first topic today, as you guys probably saw in the title, is why don't blank go to therapy?
Why don't we go to
Why
therapy?
don't Black people go to therapy? Why don't Latin people go to therapy?
Why don't Latinos go to
Why
therapy?
don't
Latinx people go to therapy? Why don't we go to therapy?
Right. Minority men, why don't they go to therapy?
Why don't women go to therapy?
Right.
Why don't women
LGBT, women of color. We're talking about all of that. So this one is going to be kind of an overview. We're going to just chat about that. And then over the next few weeks, we'll have people coming on and discuss those different topics as well. So if you have something to say, if you want to tell us why people don't go to therapy, make sure you leave a comment under the video if you're watching the video, or leave a comment under the podcast if you're on SoundCloud or anything like that. And let us
why
know
you don't go to therapy.
why you don't go to
why
therapy.
Why you haven't gone, or why you didn't go before you went.
What stopped you? What stigma? What was those messages that you were being taught that stopped you from going to therapy? So before we get into our list, we have a list of myths that we're going to go through. But when you first hear that, what do you think of as far as why people don't go to therapy?
First, I think a big part is, in our communities, it's going to be the stigma around it.
Right.
It's going to be that I'm not going to be able to relate. They're not going to be able to understand me.
Right.
Or, that's not for us.
For the other people. Oh, wait, this my friend does. This is brown. This is not brown. So she said that's for those people.
Yeah. It's this misconception that it's only for white people. It's only for Caucasians. And I think a big part of that is because, we're not always represented by the other side of the couch.
Mm-hmm. You don't see yourself and that whole fear. I don't want to say fear, but I guess part of it is fear.
Yeah.
But when I think of it, I think of like even going to the doctor. Like it's something about the doctor. You kind of like, okay, I have to do this, but I'm supposed to go tell somebody else, a stranger,
right?
And especially if it's a stranger that's not of color,
right? My
secrets, my problems, what I have going on, they're not going to understand, that type of stuff. So I agree, that's a big part of it. I also think there is something to be said about people believing that if you're seeking therapy, if you're seeking help, you aren't strong enough. You should be stronger.
Right.
I feel like that's something we hear a lot, especially as women. We hear so much about how strong we're supposed to be and how. And not even in a negative way. It's more like, you're so strong. Like, you can handle so much and you're so resilient. It's like, I don't need to be that all the time.
Right. That doesn't need to be the measure of my strength. Is how much pain I can tolerate.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a big part. And if you go, it has to be something majorly wrong.
Right.
Like you shouldn't be functioning in life if you're going to therapy.
Like you have a major mental health issue.
Right.
Like you've been diagnosed with a major mental health issue, which that's not always the case, you know?
Sometimes it's just I'm struggling with everyday stress.
Right.
And I would like to not struggle so much.
Absolutely.
My biggest thing, I know we've talked about this before, is I'm curious to see when people are like, well, I'm strong enough to handle it myself and I'm strong enough to do it myself, how much better you'll be once you kind of get that assistance, once you don't have those things kind of weighing on you.
Yeah. Well, and I think it really does still go back to this idea that strength comes from being able to bear a lot of pain. That it comes from this idea that, you know, you can bear a lot of pain and not complain about it.
Right.
That's the bonus.
That's the big part. You can't complain about it either.
Like, not
deal with it, and I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah. Like, not only do you tolerate a lot of pain, wow, and you don't ever say anything about how much pain you're in. Like, oh my goodness, what a good amazing woman.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Like, no,
more people need to be like you.
Yeah, more people need to complain about when it hurts,
right?
You know,
so that people can know not to hurt you anymore, or you can know what not to do in the future.
There's one thing to wallow in complaining,
right?
And there's another thing to say, like, I'm hurting today, and I can't do that today because I need to focus on me today.
Right, right.
That to me is strength.
Right. To be able to say and be direct and honest about what you're feeling and what you're struggling with, and then do something about it.
Yeah, that realness and that vulnerability that comes in saying, no, you know what, I can't do that. Like, I'm hurting. I'm stressed. I'm scared.
Right.
I'm anxious. Like, I'm not in a good place. That takes strength.
That takes a lot of strength. And I think when you start to try to do that, you realize how much strength it takes. Because you realize how easy it is not to ask for help. And how easy it is to hold on to that pride. It's much harder to say, like, okay, let me take a step back and actually see who can assist me and who can support me and whatever I'm struggling with.
I think it takes a lot of strength to be authentic and to be real.
Right.
And to let people really see your vulnerability. It's scary. That's why so many of us don't want to do it.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to kind of go, we already talked about a few of them, but I do want to kind of go through some of the myths and then try to come up with some. Let me just say, we have not rehearsed this at all, so we're just going to see what happens, right? But go through some of the myths and discuss it, but then also, what are solutions, or what are some mindset shifts that need to happen in order to overcome those things that are stopping people from going to therapy?
Yeah.
So I know the first one is a big one. I've heard it. I'm just going to go ahead.
Pull it up.
The first one is cost.
Right.
Therapy is too expensive.
Right. Well, you know what? I think it's definitely an investment, and also knowing that there are a lot of options. And, you know, sometimes what you're investing in with therapy, even if you went twice a month is still like a really, you know, great way to get on track.
Right.
Sometimes that's what you would, you know, going to brunch and having some mimosas and getting that cute dress it's really about your priorities sometimes, and also knowing that there's a lot of resources and a lot of options,
right,
as far as that goes.
Right. And sometimes therapy can be expensive, and I think you have to look at what you're looking for, what issues you're having trouble with,
right,
and finding someone that can help.
Right.
I don't want to pretend like spending $140 to $200 to $300 on therapy isn't expensive. Yes, it can be, depending on your income level, depending on what you have going on. And so I don't want it to just be like, you know, stop an investment. Right, stop going to dinner or stop going to happy hour, because maybe those are the things that do bring you some joy, that's helping you kind of cope.
And maybe you're going to happy hour because you need to be going to the therapist.
It could be one or the other, though.
It could be one or the other.
It could be like, I can't spend $150, but I could spend $70 every other week, you know, but then you have to think about the options. Like, we know that there are therapists that do sliding scale. We know that there are therapists that take insurance. We know that there are therapists that cost $30, $40, $50 just because. So you have to research, which is sometimes a little bit more effort than you want to put into it, which is why, again, we're trying to grow the directory, because we want to have those options there as people decide they want to seek therapy.
That's right.
But there are some options as far as they are now nonprofits that'll see you for free. And I know people are like, well, I don't want to intern.
We were interns?
We were all interns. And guess what? Interns went to school for a long time.
That's right.
Before they even became an intern.
Absolutely. And have significant amount of supervision while they're doing the internship. And I think when I was, back in the day, seeing sometimes interns that did amazing work as well.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
It's so much about the connection.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think definitely, and when you're an intern also, I don't know if you remember, like, you're hungry.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you really, like, you still like, oh, I want to help this client out. And so there's no shame in that.
Right.
Check out your college campuses also.
Right. They tend to offer free. And again, that's them with supervisors, with other people. So you're getting like the double, the price of one for two. How you say it?
Yeah, two for one.
2 for 1.
And sometimes it's
and
three
it is
for
kind of
one.
price and sometimes free.
Sometimes 3 for 1 because I know,
Sure.
I remember like in my program, University of Houston, Clear Lake. Yeah. So we had
I didn't go there, but I'm like, okay.
Our campus, we have had a clinic. We still,
they
have
a clinic, yeah.
And so you would do dual therapy. So you have 2 therapists
and
then
the
our
teacher,
supervisor,
a PhD would be on, talking to you.
They're clinical supervisors as well. So yeah, you just gotta at least try and see what's out there and because there's some $170, $200 therapists. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be right for you.
Right. Because it's a lot of, people base their prices on different things. And so you can walk into an office of somebody that charges $200 and just not feel comfortable.
That's right. Which is part of why we're doing this and like really want us, more and more of us being represented, because a lot of times that's an instant connection that you have, just walking, like knowing that someone's going to understand you.
Exactly. It's only for people with real problems.
Everybody got real problems. My problems are very real.
My problems are real. My problems are valid. And I need somebody to listen to me about
I'm just saying, there are days where it might not seem like a problem. Like, you see me struggle on the days where I just can't get something right. It is not that big a deal. You're like, what is wrong with you? It's a problem. And if it's a problem to me, it's a real problem.
Right. No, yeah, definitely. I think it's, like I said earlier, people feel like you have to not be functioning.
Right.
Like, I can't get out of bed. I guess I should go to therapy. Like,
you should.
If
that's the yes.
But that's the time.
That's not the only time.
And what happens is, we both work with couples. And what happens is we get couples that come a week before they're about to file for divorce. Like, okay, fix us.
This is our last resort.
This is it.
Fix it.
Fix it. So this is years of animosity and contempt, and that's fine. We know what we get. We signed up for. I enjoy working with couples that come in there. Yeah, and I get to watch them.
You can do before you get there.
But when I was an intern, one of my supervisors actually said, like, to one of the couples that we're working with, because I used to do premarital counseling, and she would say, "Come to us when the pot is at a simmer." Like, like if you watch a pot on the stove and you see it at a simmer and you're like, "Ooh, this feels a little uncomfortable. I don't really like that." Come to us then, as opposed to when it's boiled over and we have to clean up the mess and put it back. When it's at a simmer, it's kind of like manageable.
On the range.
Right, and it's stuff everywhere. You got to try to figure out how to put it back in, and so I thought that's a good way to think of it. When you feel that little discomfort and like this isn't,
you're avoiding topics.
Yeah.
You're avoiding certain conversations. You don't want things to simmer.
Yeah.
And you think that by not talking about something, then you're going to avoid the simmer, when really it just kind of
blow
up.
Right. It's just going to blow up. That's how. Yeah.
Yes. It amps up the simmer.
So it's okay to come even when you're like on top of your game. A lot of people that are on top of their game and the people that you see that are doing big things are in therapy.
That's right.
They are.
I love my therapist. Because therapists need therapy too.
Right.
They use it like a monthly maintenance type of deal, just to like, because sometimes I think we get so busy, especially when you're a couple.
Right.
But you get so busy with your day to day that you're not even checking in with yourself to make sure, like, hey, are we good?
Right.
Or are we just two passing, ships in the night? Or even if you're not in a relationship, like, am I good?
Yeah.
Because I've been going, and it's like, wait.
To take a moment to check in and say, like, wait, people do well at managing their lives.
Yeah.
But they sometimes aren't living it.
Fire sometimes.
Right. I'm taking care of all these different things, so I'm just going through the motions. And then when you do a check-in and be like, wait, am I happy? Am I fulfilled?
What am I feeling right now?
And then you'll realize like what's really going on.
And then when you have a good rapport and you've established a relationship with your therapist who's seen you, like in these different phases, and then you come in and maybe
They
you're
can
not.
tell.
They're like,
something's off. Right.
That you may not even be aware of.
Yeah, and like you said, it gives you an opportunity to sit and be present and figure out what am I doing right now.
To check in with yourself. We all understand the value of checking in with our loved ones, checking in with our friends, but do we always understand the value of checking in with ourselves?
Right.
Or especially like when you're someone who takes care of a lot of things and a lot of people, like having somebody then be there for you. And how are you? And how are you feeling?
Right. Because that's important.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I'm just gonna say it. I feel like this one is kind of like depending on your beliefs.
What you about to say?
Depending on your religion, your beliefs, your spirituality. But I'm sure we've all heard, why don't you just pray about it?
Oh yeah.
Why don't you go to God about it?
Yes. If you had more, church in your life,
right,
you would be better off.
Right.
Love them. I'm a huge believer in having your spiritual life in balance also.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like they say, sometimes what you are led to in your prayer, in your meditation, your beliefs, is to therapy. Like that is, hey,
God placed these people here to help you.
Yeah.
Yes, you have these different spiritual leaders, and those people are to help you in your spiritual life.
Absolutely.
But they, not all, because there is an upsurge of pastors and preachers going to school for counseling, which I think is amazing.
When I was an intern, there was one who was a priest and was going, and so I thought that was amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are some, but then there are also other people that have been led to these different professions, doctors, lawyers, therapists, that are here to help you as well in those other areas of your life. Right. So I love the meme that was got real popular a few months ago. Like you can pray about it and go to therapy at the same time.
Yes,
like you can do both. And some people pray with their therapist depending on what type of therapist it is. So it's not one or the other.
You can bring. That's part of therapy that I think people don't understand. Also, even if someone doesn't present themselves, like a Christian counselor or a certain type of faith, is that even if I don't present that way, whatever tools and resources you have in your life that help you, bring it into therapy. Right. Let me know about it. How do we incorporate this into your therapy? If something's important to you. And so it doesn't have to be one or the other. Exactly. You can have both. You can do both, and they can complement each other very well. Absolutely. So that shouldn't be a reason not to go to therapy. But I do understand. Even when you tell like your older grandparents, parents, like, oh, I'm thinking about going to therapy, that might be their first response. Is like, well, did you pray about it? Have you went to God with it first and let him have, things like that. And sometimes the answer is therapy. The answer is therapy because, you don't know what's going on, and we are clinically trained to help you with this. Right. And sometimes I think you do need a little bit of everything. Right. I need my spiritual life. I need, my physical. I need all of these things, and that's okay. And sometimes, I know for me, when I work with clients, one of the things that I'm working on is creating that support system outside of therapy. Who do you have? Which kind of goes into the next one, which is talking to friends and family. Like, I have friends, I have family, I have people I can talk to. Why don't we go to a therapist? Because we're not your friends. That's that. Because your friends won't if you have really good friends, they'll tell you, like, in a loving way. Like, I have my girlfriends who go like, I love you. Have you thought this through? Right. You did. Okay, I still love you. I'm here for you. But but your therapist is going to have that other perspective also in this other training. Like, we don't give you advice at all. And I think it's our minds tend to work a little bit different because of the training, like you said. So when you present an issue or a thought or whatever to me, I have all these things going on in the back of my head. Like what's impacting your ability to, go navigate through that. Right. What have we talked about in the past about your family? What are the messages that are informing this decision that you're making? And so then we'll unpack that as opposed to I'm just taking it as face value. Right. And because your friends, they're on your side. Always. They should. And we are too. The therapists too. But sometimes what may not feel like we're on your side is that little nudge that you need from an unbiased party. Right. Like, we're on your side. We're there for you. We're the keeper of your goals. Right. But we bring all of that training and education and experience that we have and say, okay, you got this goal, and according to what I know about change and relationships, and then what you're telling me about you, and then what I know about human behavior, this may be the best way to get to your goal.
Right.
Your friends, you know, they may not always do it.
And not to say that they're not valuable and it's not a big part.
You need them too.
And that's why I said in therapy, a big part is like, who is your support in this area?
Yeah.
Who is your support in that area? When you're not in therapy, because if we're only seeing each other once, maybe twice a week, what are you doing the rest of those days
Absolutely.
when your stress level is coming up? You know, we want to make sure you have those things in place too.
Yeah.
Because support is very important, and support in most health areas, medical, mental, really predicts outcome.
Absolutely, because connection is everything.
Exactly.
Connection is everything.
So, okay, we're going to talk about one more because I feel like we might be going.
What time is it?
It's 11:35.
Wow,
So,
everybody fast. And all y'all still staying with us. We love you. Are y'all sneaking us like at work? Like, are you on your lunch breaks? Or, you know, bosses over there? Or between sessions, between your own sessions?
Y'all got to put this in your break now. No clients between 11 and 11:30 on Wednesday, Central Time. Okay, so why would I tell my problems to a stranger?
Why would I tell my problems to a stranger? Well,
Which, let me just say, I understand that.
Yes.
As a very private, well, if you listen to my podcast, you might not think I'm private. But as a very private person,
you're very.
I completely get that concern of like, well, who is this? When I'm looking for a therapist, I search and I research, and it takes me a while. And we're therapists, and it still takes me a minute to find someone that I feel comfortable with going in to talk about whatever I'm struggling with. So I get that, and that's a very valid feeling of like, I have to walk into this place so I don't know the person and tell them my issue.
Yeah, and I think a big part of it is feeling like they're going to judge you, or are you going to feel shamed, or, you know, how do I know I can trust you?
And in my household, and I know in other Black households, family business stays in the house. Right. Yeah. You don't spread family business. Mm-hmm. Whatever we have going on here, whatever,
talk about that.
You don't talk about it, you don't share it. And so this idea of going to someone that's not in the family and telling them that you're struggling with the family probably is frowned upon.
Yeah.
And it can be a struggle to like feel comfortable and like, how do I tell this person? I think that's why both of us do like phone consultations.
Absolutely. Get a feel for them. Like I always tell clients that. Just like you called me and you're asking, call a few other people and get a feel just for who they are, how they connect with you as a person, just like as a human.
Because if they're short with you on the phone, they're cutting you off. If I won't say if they, because sometimes it's supposed to be a 10-minute consultation, and if you go too long, we have to say like, okay, we have to wrap this up. But if it seems like they're just not interested in you, or they are very like quick to like, let's just book the appointment with somebody in a session, I think it's important that you have, if that's important to you, that you have that connection with the person before you walk into the session.
Yeah.
Because
connection is everything also in therapy. Trust that. Like even if they have all the accolades and they have all the degrees and they have all the trainings, the biggest thing I always tell people is like, if you sit down and you just don't feel a connection, and sometimes it's not because there's anything that the therapist is doing that's wrong. It's just some people you vibe with, some people you don't, including your therapist. Find one that you vibe with, and that's going to give you already like this head start on change to happen. Right. You know, that's going to be your best bet, you know. But if you just, give it a few, maybe, I think like by your third session, you can tell if that person is the person for you. And like I said, like you said, the list of degrees and the list of, that's not important. It's about that connection. Because there's a lot of people that have had great progress with this person, and then you'll go in and be like, no, this isn't. So, and that's okay. As therapists, we know that. Like, my feelings are hurt when somebody's like, I just don't know because of this, and this. That's fine. Let me try to refer you to somebody. I tell clients that all the time. I'm like, look, you're not gonna hurt I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I'm here for you to get the support you need. And if that means if you tell me, you know what, like I think I need something different, I am so more than willing to connect you with maybe some other people that might be a good fit. Right. You know. So I wanted to talk about, I don't know if you've had any experiences, but in telling people that you're a therapist or that you're going to be a therapist, like family or friends, like what their reactions were to even saying, I'm going to be a therapist. My family, like my mom, was like, "Are you sure? Like, you think you can handle that? Like, can you handle that?" And so I think even now, like, I think my family doesn't take it serious. They're like, "Yeah, okay, you do your therapy thing over there."
Yeah.
But then you also have the people who are like, let me tell you all my issues and stuff. And I'm like, wait, but I'm not your therapist.
Right. I'm a therapist. I'm not your therapist. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I think some of them still like don't necessarily get that I'm a therapist.
Right. My the best reaction is my dad. So I'm a relationship therapist. I'm a marriage therapist. So my dad is like, wait. So what are you going to school for? So what are you doing? People gonna listen to you? Like, this is what therapists do. Therapy do. But so it was less, I think. I think there was some confusion about what exactly a therapist is. Yeah. Like, so people gonna come to you and talk to you about their problems, lay down on your couch. Right. But then it was another level to it when it was like, so married couples are gonna come talk to you, and I'm like, yeah, daddy, that's what they gonna do, and I'm gonna help them, and I have. But you still asking about that.
I think that's one of the misconceptions too about therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Why people don't go is this idea that we cannot support people, we can't help people if we haven't gone through
the exact same thing that they've had. Yeah.
Does that help? Yes, but not that it's impossible, but yeah, it's impossible for us to go through every single thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, when you are a person that is compassionate, empathic, professional, ethical. Like, you're able, maybe I can't connect to your experience on that particular pain, but I can connect to pain.
Right.
And so that's why therapists doing their own work and being able to access that empathy, that's what facilitates our ability to be able to work with a wide range of issues. Because I think that's one of the reasons people don't go to therapy also, is they say, well, I've never been there. How are you going to know?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to help me with my relationship?
So then sometimes on the opposite side of that is if somebody has went through those things and then there's a success story, that feels overwhelming and intimidating.
Sure.
So it can be on both sides. Sure. Because I've definitely heard people say that, like, well, she had all this going on and she overcame it. I wouldn't go to her because I would feel like inferior. And
like,
so that's
almost pressure to be able
that I have to do it the way you did. Yeah. Right. So it's
well, that speaks to why finding someone that's a good fit for you.
Yeah.
And I think it's also important to know that sometimes you can have a therapist for a certain amount of time, and then you kind of figure out, like, okay, maybe I need something different now. Like, maybe I don't need to go to therapy every week, maybe not every month, or maybe I need a new therapist. Because that can happen also, is that as you change, you might need a different therapist too.
Right.
That's okay.
Right. All right, guys.
I can't believe that was 30 minutes.
Okay, so thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate all of you. This is our first episode done. Make sure you follow Melanin and Mental Health if you haven't already. If you don't know who we are, we're everywhere as Melanin and Mental Health. Right. We are also on Twitter as Melanin Health.
Melanin Health is
too long. And Facebook group. We have a Facebook group for the podcast. So it's a Between Sessions podcast is the name of the Facebook group. Go join that. We'll post questions. We'll post episodes, of course. We'll have discussions. if you have a business of any sort, or
if you have a LinkedIn.
Here's what I was about to say. I've been listening to, I don't know if y'all know who my little Till is, but she says, even when you're working for somebody else, you're still a brand.
You are still a
So
business.
you still
I say
have
that
to,
all the time.
treat yourself as a brand.
Yes.
So come out. We're going to have lots of good food. There's a bar there. Y'all can get some drinks. You know, we like to hang out and just kind of relax and really get to know each other and try to help as much as we can. So check that out.
Then January
26th,
we're going to be in Dallas. Dallas, represent. Come out and see us.
Yes. We're going to be on a couple podcasts this month. We'll announce those as
yes, we're going to have more of these.
Right. We're going to be doing this
every Wednesday.
And check out once this is posted on YouTube. It'll be over there on YouTube every week, as well as, I know we're still there. I see somebody left. As well as iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, all those places. I believe that nobody should have to struggle to find us. It might take us a few weeks to get on iTunes, but we'll be everywhere else by like Monday. So make sure you check us out, and we'll post all of that across our social media. So just make sure you're following us. But we really appreciate you joining us, and we'll talk to y'all next Wednesday or Friday if you're listening to the podcast.
Hey, and come see us. In Houston, in Dallas.
Oh, yeah. And if you see us out, because I see people out sometimes, I see on social media, and I'm like, should I talk to them? Please, I'm an introvert.
Yes.
You may not realize this right here, but I'm a real introvert. But come talk to me. If you talk to me, I'll talk to anybody. So please come chat with us
hi.
and say hi. And that's it for this one.